Okay, it's meat and potatoes time here now. So, the first installment covered some of the preliminaries and things that were important and needed addressed, but I think really this is the stuff that a lot of you are here after. So, first things first. Taking your kayak and paddling right into a hot mess of tangled riverwood does not come without risk. It's fun, it's effective, it's rewarding, it can also be a little bit dangerous. The river has no issue with killing you, so safety has to be in the front of your mind before things go bad. Always remember that. So I've fished the front side of the laydown from a distance, and I'm ready to move up on it and fish it vertically. I'm doing this because it can be more effective to fish the cover this way, and also honestly because I just think that fighting a fish straight down on short line is really just about as fun as it gets. The goal here is mainly just to float up nice and gentle right up against the target like some random piece of river driftwood. The first thing I do to accomplish this is to point straight at my target and back paddle as I need to so that I'm approaching with very little speed. I scan the water in front of it for any stick-ups or obstructions that might lie just beneath the surface, and I make sure that my approach is clear. Those stick-ups, things right under the surface, they pose the greatest risk because they can cause me to become unstable and tip over. Once I'm sure that it's clear and I'm close enough that I won't pick up much speed, then I begin to sweep my paddle and turn myself so that I'm coming in broadside, just dead center to the rootwad. Then I just drift in and prepare for my landing. I reach my paddle out to make first contact and I start to brake so that I come to a nice, gentle stop. Never, ever, ever lean away from the target and upstream. Let's just take a quick look at that picture from earlier again. This is what can happen if you lean upstream as you hit the wood. The current will try and slide you up onto the wood, and you can turtle like this. Just imagine that as you're coming in to land, that you're trying to put your shoulder right into the rootwad, and you'll be in the correct position to hit it. Once I'm on target and against the wood, then I just try and find the sweet spot where the current is keeping me pinned up against the face of the laydown, and I'm still able to drop my bait straight down into the hole underneath the cover. This can be a bit of a challenge to get just right, and sometimes I have to slide back towards the side a little bit so that I can get my bait exactly where I want to put it. And then once I'm happy with my position, then I clip off so that I'm snug tight to it. For clipping off, I use these vinyl clips. I like them better than the metal brush clips with the teeth because they're strong enough, they have enough grip to keep me in place wherever I want to be held in place, but if I need to get free for whatever reason, and even if I can't reach it, they will pop off pretty easily with a nice sharp tug. So once I'm in position and I'm clipped off, then I just drop my bait straight down and start probing around. I like to try and bang my weight around, bumping into whatever I can feel down on the bottom, and then lift it up about a foot either off the bottom itself or above any debris that I can feel on the floor. I'm typically using circle hooks because they tend to hang up less, so bringing it up a little in the water column seems like it increases my hookup and landing rate when I'm fishing straight down like this. So I'll play this game for maybe 5 or 10 minutes depending on how effectively I was able to work it from my previous position upstream. Then I move to finish off by checking the last position on the backside. Some laydowns will have a big boil on the backside, somewhere behind the rootwad, and if there is one, then that's my target. I want to put my bait just dead center in it. If there isn't such a boil, then the next thing I'm going to look for is the most pronounced current seam, and I'm going to try and put my bait right there. It's rare to be able to reach that spot from the position on the front, and it's even more rare to be in position to land a fish from that side if you can get to it, so it usually calls for a small position adjustment. Getting into this final position is really the sketchiest part of the entire procedure. As you move around towards the side of the roots, the current has a tendency to want to catch the back of your kayak and start to peel it away from the tree and spin you around. The best prevention for this is to use an anchor trolley and to have it rigged so that it's as far back on your kayak as you can possibly get it to go. And you need to get clipped off into place before the current tries to grab your stern. If the current gets its claws on you at an angle, then it's going to be a problem even if you've managed to clip off first. If that happens, you're better off just abandoning the whole thing and just getting to safety. safety. The key to success here really is just your ability to keep that back end of your kayak as tight as possible to the root wad and to wherever you eventually find to clip off to. Here I'm clipping off from a spot behind my seat and I'm just easing into place. I'm always mindful and ready to break free if the current starts to grab me and spin me around. Another thing to keep in mind while you're doing this is that even if you get into a stable position, if you get a fish on, the leverage is going to change and the back almost always wants to pull out away. The last thing you want is to suddenly find yourself tied off in a dangerous position while fighting both a fish and the current. Here's a good example of how that happens and how my clip works out for me. So the current wasn't very bad here, but you can see that I've got a fish on and fighting it is starting to spin the back of my kayak out. I look downstream and I can clearly see that there aren't any obstructions and I'm clear, so I just pop off that clip and let the current get me out away from the snag and where I can fight the fish in open water. Here's another one where you can see that because I'm not clipping off from the very end of my kayak, I'm getting pulled around into all sorts of bad position here because I have a fish on. Again, in this particular example, it's not really the end of the world because I'm in more slack water, but if that sort of thing were to happen in a situation like this, where the current's ripping through and there are a bunch of stick-ups poking out, it could make your day turn really bad very quickly. So basically, the primary safety consideration of this entire operation is to make absolutely sure that you don't let yourself get into a position where the current is going to push you on top of any protrusions, and most especially not while you're moving sideways. If you adhere to that basic rule of thumb, you can pull this off pretty safely and you'll get to effectively fish some of the spots likely to hold the biggest fish in the area. Depending on the fishing conditions, I might blow through these as quickly as possible, or I might find one that I'm in love with and maybe work it over for 30 or 40 minutes. Usually I don't stay on them that long though. I'm a lot more likely to spend a greater amount of time probing methodically on something larger like an actual logjam. The overall approach to fishing the logjams is pretty similar here, but there are a few significant differences, so that's going to be the focus of the next installment. Be sure to post up any questions or suggestions here in the comment section, and be sure to subscribe for continuing updates to the series here. Otherwise, until then, thanks for watching.